She's still laughing.
That's so funny. Welcome to 5 Lemons Left. We're the real stuff, the lemons making lemonade. So pucker up, because we're going to be discussing our life's lessons and the nitty-gritty details of our spiritual journeys.
Hey y'all, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Drusilla.
I'm Melissa.
Hello, this is Morgan.
And I'm Penny. Welcome to our podcast today. We are so excited to be back with you. Amanda, our fearless leader, will kick it off for us.
Well, thank you. I don't know about fearless leader, but I like going first. That's my personality. Today we are talking about forgiveness, but I had something super interesting happen to me this week that I wanted to start off sharing about. And for me personally, it's about boundaries. It's about, verbalizing what I will do and what I won't do. And I don't know how that ties into forgiveness, but maybe at the end of this, my end of my share, you can tell me. Yeah. So I am helping a neighbor with her horses. She's having some medical things go on, and I mucking up after the horses and feeding when she needs to. And this person, I know that I personally am labeling this person as having like a victim mentality, like nothing good ever happens to this person. There's some martyrdom in there. And I'm just to a point in my life where I'm not going to buy into that. It's just not part of who I am anymore. And when I was going through the process, it like came to a head. I went down to do work with the horses, and I had a meeting. I came back up, and then right after the meeting, I was going down to finish. And she really was like super panic mode that I wasn't doing it right. And that there was a lot of, oh my God, the world's going to end. Like just a lot of drama, which, and it really took me back. And I'm like, I just don't know if I want this in my life anymore. And then there was, she wrote me an email. And again, it was all that vibration of just negativity, and just I'm moving away from that. And I know on our spiritual journey that I'm trying, I'm trying, and my part of my path is really seeing people as divine. I was having a really hard time with that. And finally, I sent her an email saying that I'm not going to participate in the drama. I'm not going to participate in the drama. I said, I will help you with your horses, and I need clear direction about what time and when. And I got an email back from her that was really concise. And before I did it, like when all of it was happening, I was like, I can't respond right now, because I was going to respond out of ego. Like I was really practicing what we talk about. I was really practicing partnering up. I was practicing seeing her as a divine being. I was really trying to hold that space of love and light, and not respond right away. And I believe it shifted the whole situation, and then I was able to, and so I didn't go down there for a couple of days. That she just didn't need my help, and that's totally fine with me. And so today, she asked me yesterday, she needs to do something. So I went back there, and she did show up when I was out there cleaning, and I could just feel a little like one of those little, it's like not quite right vibrations, but I still was centered in myself. I said hello and just went about my business. And I just wanted to put that out there. It's so interesting. A year ago, 2 years ago, I would have jumped right in there with the drama. I would have, I don't know what I would have done, but I certainly wouldn't have responded from my loving heart. So I just want to bring that story up and, I don't know, just get some feedback on it. Clearly I'm looking for some type of, I don't know what, right? Because I'm talking about it. Like I need some follow up. I need, my lemon sisters to give me some support here.
Well, first of all, congratulations, Amanda.
Yeah, thank you.
To do it differently.
Mm-hmm.
Way to interrupt those old patterns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it did feel very empowering to state this is what I'm not going to participate in. And I was, it really took me a while to get that sentence down because it's not like I'm not going to participate in her drama. I'm not going to, I didn't want to feed into the story, but I wanted to not participate in perpetuating victimhood, perpetuating whatever it was, whatever that she was placing on me. I wasn't going to participate in it.
Have you harvested all the learning from this situation so that you don't repeat it again?
I don't think so. Not all of it. It's still in my mind, and it still is. It's on replay, right? It's on repeat in my mind. It's and also part of any story. I believe is like what I project out. So like I'm still harvesting like, where am I being the victim still? Where am I like on the cross? Where am I, how am I still moving through those things, which isn't always the most delightful things to look at. So I don't think I've harvested all the learning yet. Thank you for asking, Penny. Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So do you think that situation arose as an opportunity for you to make a higher decision? Like, has that been a part of your thing in the past that you would engage in the drama?
So my thing, instead of engaging, instead of fight, I freeze. Right? That's how I lock down. Like I don't know what to do. So probably in the past, if I would have engaged, it would have been like, oh, I'm so sorry. That's not what I meant. Like, of course, la, 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 petting and soothing and, pleasing and really trying to go in and fix the situation. So that is part of my healing, Drusilla. And I believe that's why part of the reason why I was in this situation is to have an opportunity to say, first of all, I don't need to fix this person, right? This person is living her own experience. This person is, walking her path. It's not my business to change it. My business is to see the love in myself and see the love in her and to be truly helpful in that manner. So I think that's what it was, Drusilla, is actually saying, this is a boundary of mine and I'm not going to participate. I'm not going to engage in something that I don't want to engage in. And I'm not going to go into the old pattern of people pleasing, because that wouldn't have elicited a good response either. To me, that's not a loving choice. Mm-hmm.
Right. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
When you are you said something about like the thoughts are not done circulating. So I don't know if you're replaying it or how those thoughts are showing up, but as you're ruminating on the events of the past couple of days, what is the energetic feeling or recurring thought that's coming up for you?
So some of it is pride, right? And I'm not sure that that's like the highest vibration that I'm going for either. But I am recognizing that it is a more loving choice. So I'll take pride over like lockdown or like trying to fix something in someone else, so I will take that, like I do have pride that I used my voice differently. And I'm certainly ready to reframe that into having it all from my loving choice. So what the loops are now, like, where am I holding on to martyrdom? Where am I holding on to victimhood? How am I, what am I that's still left for me to heal? And why am I seeing this still? Right. Mm-hmm.
So that's the loops that are going through your head right now?
Yeah.
It's like, where am I in martyrdom? Where am I in victim?
Yeah. When it comes up, what is left for me to heal? What is left for me to do out of this particular situation? And
I think those are pretty healthy loops, Amanda.
I do too, but there's still loops. And then there's like that pride loop still, like, look at me, and that's still a loop too. So I want to acknowledge that loop is still there. Yeah.
And laugh about it. Bring a little lightness to it. It's funny, ego shows up in little subtle ways.
It is. I do see the humor in it. Although she does not.
Well, I think both of your egos were bruised a little bit too and bumped.
Yeah.
Yours was because she called you out, and hers was because you called her out.
Right.
And so, when egos get bruised and bumped, from my experience, I've noticed that when that happens to me, that I really have to very quickly get back into my own personal power and out of the ego, and really start talking to myself about that. Okay, so what is the learning here, Penny? Why do you feel like your ego got bruised, or why did it bump you? And really take a look at what I can, what the learning is for me, and where my healing still remains. Like you were saying, like where. What's my part? That's the biggest thing for me, is to really determine, okay, what's my part in this whole little movie reel that just unfolded? Like, how did I create this? And that's what I am working on. Yeah.
Yeah. And not from a place of blame, though, but just for being accountable for everything you experience. That place.
Well, yeah, like the Course says, we take 100% responsibility.
100%. That's a big percent.
That's
all of it.
That's all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%
you look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Drusilla.
No, I was just co-signing for the moment of 100%. That's all.
For the moment. I was just going to say, I love one thing that Jennifer Hadley says is the most loving choice for any one of us is the most loving choice for all of us, because we're all one. So in that moment of you lovingly establishing a boundary and sticking up for yourself may not be the right turn of phrase to use, but that's what I'm just going to say for simplicity. In sending your email and making that loving choice for yourself, it has to also be the most loving choice for her. Maybe And who knows how? It's not really our business, the how, but it could be that it's making her aware of a way that she speaks to people that she's never been aware of before. Or maybe it's making her aware of her gravitational attraction to drama. And maybe she's never been aware of that before. Like, who knows? And that part, again, is none of our business, but just trusting that your loving choice for yourself was the loving choice for her, even if she didn't receive it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I've told you before, I don't know if we've talked about it on this podcast, but horses are super psychic too. And they pick up on everything. They know what you're thinking. So I was shoveling poop and trying not to, like, I don't even say I was trying, but like going like, wow, like, so like in this environment that it doesn't feel quite peaceful. And then to like, try to bring that peace to that environment as I was in it is a whole nother level of spiritual commitment and something that I was aware of being around those horses and trying to hold loving thoughts so it doesn't convey to the horses. Although
what did you notice how the horses were when this was all unfolding?
Her horses are a little bit, her horses do elicit some of the same behavior as the owner does.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So there is that. And at me being in that environment, my intention is to bring peace and to make a connection with those horses that is that is loving, and that is like, I notice when they're telling me that their boundaries, like that's so interesting. The whole boundary issue. Horses like are really subtle. Like they can just like turn their head a little bit or look away or flick an ear, and they're telling you that they're not comfortable with what you're doing. So it's being hyper aware of a horse, which is, over 1,000 pounds. So you want to be aware of what they're doing anyway, especially when you're really close to them. Yeah.
So cool that you get to experience that.
Yeah. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It is very much so.
Mm-hmm. So forgiveness. So what is the forgiveness work in that? Any thoughts?
Well, I think it was that at what point did you forgive her? And then have you now forgiven any thoughts you had about the situation that were not of the highest vibrational feeling?
I don't know if I've thought about it in terms like that. So I do have some forgiveness work to do. Forgiving her for projecting that on me, forgiving myself for receiving it, and then forgiving the whole situation for whatever we're co-creating together to bring this up. So there is lots of levels of forgiveness work. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And maybe it's helpful to talk about what we mean by forgiveness here, because, the way A Course in Miracles teaches it is it's not making it real, seeing the unreality in it and holding to the truth. So, again, I go back to the lightheartedness. Like if we're having an illusory, dreamy experience, and this is just a blip on the screen of our life, then, it's not really that big of a deal. It's not really real. And can we shift into holding it in that energetic of not making it real? I don't know if I explained that well, but.
So,
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, Drusilla, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like the way you explained that, Morgan. Like, we have to put it in perspective, especially for people that are not a part of the Course in Miracles community, that forgiveness, the way we're speaking of it right now, might seem a little odd to some people. That, for the everyday average situation, we're talking about, if you ask somebody, about forgiveness, they're going to say that somebody wronged you in some way. So therefore, that's where forgiveness comes into play. But we know through the Course that we're forgiving the meaning that we made of it. Right? So that is a shift in perspective. And that's kind of what we're saying. Like, did you forgive the meaning you made of what she said to you, and then the meaning of what you made out of it? And, in general, the feelings that you had about it, whether it was resentment or dare she or whatever it was, did you forgive the meaning that you made of what she said to you? Because we know that everything we see or hear is based on who we are and what we are projecting, perceiving it to be. And even if what she said was coming from a place of, whoever knows, discontentment, anger or whatever, it's always a cry for love. Anytime something like that comes from a brother or sister. So we're forgiving that we don't see them as wholly imperfect and complete. Is that what you guys kind of get from the Course?
Yeah, you said it beautifully. I think we all come from different backgrounds, but I think for the most part, we're all speaking about the oneness of the non-duality, the oneness of all life, that this is a dream of separation where we appear as many different people. We appear as Amanda, Drusilla, Morgan, and Penny, but the truth of our reality is one with all of life, one with God, one with each other. So in that context, you only ever forgive yourself. There isn't anyone else to forgive. There's only one split mind, hearing as many. And I like how this person explains it on Facebook, if I may read his words. All the figures in the dream are acting out for you because you put them there when you wrote the script with the ego. How can they be guilty of anything? You made them up and then forgot that you wrote the script. That's why true forgiveness is the only way out of the dream. You forgive your brother for what he has not done. Forgiveness in the world is what the Course calls forgiveness to destroy. It's making sin real and then forgiving it. God says his son is guiltless and innocent. The atonement is the correction of error. It means that you have now accepted that the separation never happened. If the separation never happened, then there is no world and there is nothing to forgive. I think that explains it. No? Yes?
Yeah.
It's the same.
It does. It does explain it. And then this, on this level of form, sometimes that to me is a little bit too far to go when I'm in it, when I'm shoveling, when I'm in the middle of shoveling it, right?
Of course.
It seems like a little too far to go. Like I can typically get to like the forgiveness levels of, or like I understand the forgiveness levels. Like, so I know that I don't want to participate in, like, I can forgive this person because I'm better than her, right? And I forgive her, right? I don't want to participate in that. And So I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's not always like we're all one. And so there's nothing to forgive is not always the easiest place to go.
Absolutely not.
It
I
seems to be like
Especially not when you're in it.
Yeah. So then what tools do we use to bridge that gap? Or what tools do you use to bridge that gap? Amanda, I heard you say that you paused and you didn't respond right away. You prayed about it. You had an intention to respond authentically.
Yeah, definitely the pause is what I use in this particular situation. Is I just hit the pause button, and it was easier to do. It was easy to do because she had left me a voicemail, and then she had left me an email, and I'm like, I don't have to respond back right now. I can hit the pause button, and that's what I did. So Penny, oh good. I'll just invite you to speak up.
Yeah. So I always, like I said earlier, I always look at, well, okay, what's my part and how did I create this? And what's the meaning I've made of all this too? I mean, that's really, it just goes, it's kind of, maybe I'm simpler, but I don't have all that thorough stuff that you were just talking about. Honestly, not that, I guess I don't know. Anyway, I would just take a look at what's my part. I've done a lot of 12-step work, and anytime there's a resentment or anything that I start feeling, I always have to go, okay, Penny, what's your part? Where does your healing need to still continue to come from? And that's where I operate from.
Yeah, I like what you were reading, Morgan, about what the gentleman said on Facebook, because that always puts things in perspective when you realize, or I think it's just a way to conceptualize it, the way he explained it, is that what if everybody in your life is there for that reason, for your salvation, right? So she is there. She showed up, Amanda, because at that very moment, you needed a healing in a certain area of your life, right? And I think I explained this to you all in our circle, that the moment I started to view my husband and my stepdaughter in that way, there was total shift in the dynamics, because I had to say, well, they're bringing this to me because I asked for it. I asked for the healing in that particular area, whatever it might be. And to have to look at every conflict and every, situation that arises that makes me uncomfortable, to look at it that way, it's really challenge, but it's also where the growth happens as well.
Oh, we're back to that 100% responsibility thing.
Yeah.
And knowing that in our discomfort is when our greatest opportunity for growth occurs. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the lofty idea of forgiveness being seeing the oneness and the recognizing the non-reality of what's unfolding. Like, I feel like that is like, it's great to know that that's what the deal is. But in times of apparent crisis or apparent upset or trigger, when the rubber meets the road, like, it is really important to have tools, I feel like, because I cannot vibrationally jump from triggered, upset, angry, whatever lower vibration emotion may be stirred up in me, to love, light, joy, happiness, peace, instantaneously. I cannot make that bound. But what I can do is take that pause that, Amanda, you mentioned. I can partner up, declare my willingness to see this situation correctly. Even though in this moment, I just am attached to being right. I'm attached to being a victim. I'm attached to, whatever else is coming up for me, but I'm willing to have that shift. And that doesn't sound like anything special or grand, but I can tell you from experience that my recovery time to moving back into peace and back into joy is getting shorter and faster and shorter every single time I get triggered. And that, my friends, is a win, and I'll take it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Definitely a win.
Yeah.
So Morgan, did I hear? So what I'm hearing you say then is that pause is your number one tool.
Yes. If I can excuse myself, then I do. If I can't, then I just go silent. May appear like I'm giving somebody the silent treatment, but internally I'm praying and declaring my willingness to see the situation differently. Penny, we can't hear you for some reason.
Hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
It's weird. I was talking pretty low. One time I was having a trigger moment with my husband, and I had decided I'm going to do it differently. I wasn't going to respond the way I always have, like get into a big discussion and an argument. And so I just started to pray under my breath, like silently, but just slightly audible, but not quite audible. Because I thought I have to pray right now, because if I don't, I'm going to just go back into the old pattern. And so I just sat there and I went, I did the Serenity Prayer because that's one of my favorites. I was just going, God, grant me the serenity. And my husband looked at me and he goes, what are you doing? Are you praying? And I go, I am. And he goes, oh, and he walked away. And I went, there's the answer.
That's so
it
funny.
ended.
Hilarious.
But yeah, that was pretty powerful.
I would like to bring, sorry, go ahead, Amanda.
No, go ahead, Morgan.
I'd just like to bring up an important point about that the forgiveness work doesn't have to be done in person, and that there's never any reason to submit to abuse or I should be so spiritually evolved that I can handle whatever situation is coming up with. Like it's fine to work these principles from a distance if that's what your guidance is, and to not stick around and subject yourself to a situation that's unsafe or uncomfortable, or I don't know. I feel like that's important to mention.
That's very important to mention, Morgan, because I think that was part of my healing and learning. Was there was a boundary, I had a personal boundary that was being crossed that I don't know if I've ever addressed it in this manner that I needed to address it in. And I needed distance, and I needed time, and I needed all the, what we were talking about to figure out what that boundary was, to even figure out that there was a boundary there that, that had been crossed that I wasn't comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were acting from your adult self, Amanda.
What? Is this what adulting looks like?
It does.
Oh. Yeah. I can handle this part of adulting. I can. So Drusilla, I'm super curious about something. So you were talking about, reframing like your interactions with your family. Like, did they notice? Did you start engaging with them differently? Did you stop engaging with them differently? So I'm super curious about that. The family ramifications of our own spiritual growth.
Yeah, a little bit of all of that happened. I will say a lot of it was in the beginning. Mostly it was being silent and reflective at the time of a situation, or when I know otherwise I may have just gone in it, like Penny was just saying, to continue down that path, that I would remember or remind myself what was happening. Like, this is so for my growth. This is what I asked for, for growth. And I did tell my husband, and this was probably months after the realization. And I explained to him what I thought about it. I just said, what if you're here? Your only purpose in my life is for me to grow, for my salvation. I said, imagine if I look at you like that every day and for our interactions, all the pain points, that you're here for my salvation, which we know at the end of the day, that's what we're all here for, is for each other's salvation, right? We're all walking each other home. And we have to kind of remember not to be a part of somebody's nightmare, to be a part of their salvation. And, of course, don't get it right most of the time, but it's still there. It's there for me to have and to help myself continue on this path of spiritual growth, instead of a path of spiraling down most of the time, which what was happening before I joined Jennifer's ministry. And so it's just such a way of being, I think it's just another way of being more aware of how you deal with conflict with people.
What was his response? You asked him that question?
Oh, what was his response?
Yeah.
Let me think. I don't remember that I remember that he was in awe thinking about that, and spinning it around and thinking, like, what if that's what I'm in his life for? But I can't remember that he said anything, that I could repeat right now. But I think that I'm really interested in saying that to him again, just because you asked me that, and just to get kind of his take on, that what if, because I think it just makes so much sense for me. I mean, because I do feel like that's, being responsible, 100% responsible for sight. That's exactly what it means. We have to know that any conflict is there for specifically for our own growth.
Yeah. And sometimes it's so hard to remember that. Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate the reminder.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm. I think that just puts a different twist on relationships. If you really remember that when you're in it, like, oh, if I could just go, oh, that's why you did that. To help me grow. I mean, I and I'm not trying to make light of it. I'm just really seriously saying, wow, if I could just stay in that light place, because it really is, like you were saying, Morgan, brings some lightness and humor to the whole thing.
Yeah.
This life that we're living is so amazing.
So we're coming towards the end of our time together. Any other thoughts about forgiveness, about what forgiveness is or what forgiveness is not.
I have another beautiful quote I could share. You've probably all heard it before. It's a Rumi quote. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there.
And what does that mean to you, Morgan?
It means getting out of the story of who's right, who's wrong, who's better than, who's less than.
Yeah. That's a big one. That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
I would say for me, forgiveness is about, no matter what the story is about tapping back into unconditional love, that source energy, and in some way finding it in me, and in some way finding it in whatever situation that it is. So that's, one of my, for me, that's what forgiveness, the beginnings of forgiveness are for me. Penny or Drusilla? Any final
I was just
thoughts?
going to say that, we're learning in our Masterful Living that all forgiveness is self-forgiveness. So I see forgiveness as really just forgiving myself for making some meaning of something that really wasn't even there.
Mm-hmm.
And then choosing differently, like choosing to go again. Life is like we create this plan, we go do it, and maybe it doesn't work out so well. So we come back in and we look at it, and then we make a new plan and we go out and practice again. And so, then that's all about forgiveness too. And I see layers in my forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
I can forgive parts, and then another part shows up and I go, oh, okay, there's more here to it than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a process for me.
Always a process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'll have to defer to what Penny just said. It's, forgiving the meaning that I made of it. I guess we can't talk about forgiveness without talking about forgiveness letters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I've had some just awesome healing from writing forgiveness letters.
Mm-hmm.
Things that I didn't even realize I was holding on to, stories that I didn't realize I've been carrying around for all of my life,
Yeah.
And and it all was just basically the meanings I made of it and letting go of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what forgiveness means to me.
Have you ever written multiple forgiveness letters for the same issue?
Yes. Morgan, I have. Yes.
Some of them have required dozens.
Yeah. And then just a little side note for anyone that's listening that doesn't know what we're talking about. Jennifer Hadley has come up with a forgiveness letter process. And it starts out with the intention behind the forgiveness. It takes you through writing out all the supposedly negative emotions of what happened. It takes you through a process of asking for help from yourself, asking your help from unseen, and then it takes you out the other side to what living, what being, what it would feel like at the end of that forgiveness. And it's called the forgiveness letter. And that's what we're talking about. Did I forget anything? I mean, it's a very brief explanation of what the forgiveness letter is. But to me, that's the essence of it.
It's so funny, Amanda, that you just say forgiveness letter, because I always thought it was just forgiveness letter, but it's really self-forgiveness letters.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always thought I was like working on somebody else, but I was actually working on myself.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up, Penny. That is the core. That is. So thank you. They are self-forgiveness letters.
Mm-hmm.
Self-forgiveness letters for all the reasons that we have been talking, for the past 45 minutes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they're so powerful because you do have to get into the emotions that are coming up for you. So it is like somatic healing. It gets into the nervous system and allows you to acknowledge what you're feeling and get it out of you and down on the paper. And then you shift the focus into the visualization of affirming the truth, claiming the truth, calling in the support from the invisible. It's very powerful. I don't write as many of them as I should. I just should it on myself.
You did.
You're shitting on yourself.
Yeah. Amanda's shoveling the shit, so you don't have to.
I'm shoveling the shit now.
There's a lot of shit going on today.
There is a 1,200-pound creature puts out a lot of shoulds.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that sounds like that's a pretty good place to end.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. Bye, y'all.
Have a beautiful day.